Good morning, and welcome everyone to today's budget hearing. This is the first of 11 virtual budget hearings the city will be hosting this year to introduce the fiscal year 22-23 trial budget. The feedback that we received today and throughout the budget hearing process is extremely important to us as we formulate the proposed budget to present the council. The proposed budget will be presented to City Council on May 3rd and voted on May 17th. These hearings will be recorded and streamed on our YouTube channel. For those of you who do not wish to speak today, you can leave a comment at Phoenix.gov/budget. Another way to participate is through the Fund Phoenix Interactive Budget Tool. This interactive tool lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed budget. Before we begin today's video, I'd first like to introduce our interpreter, Oscar Monroy, for today's hearing. Oscar?
My name is Oscar Monroe, and I'll be serving as your interpreter for today's virtual budget audience. We ask as a favor, please try to speak slowly and clearly that we can interpret what you're saying as completely as possible. Thank you. To avoid confusion, I will now provide instructions on how to access the hearings in English. From your telephone, dial 602-666-0783 and enter the meeting ID 249-3646-7285#. Press pound again when prompted for attendee ID. I will now introduce myself to our Spanish-speaking audience. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Oscar Monroy y junto con mi colega Carmen Cota estaremos sirviéndoles hoy como intérpretes en la audiencia virtual del presupuesto operativo. Al momento de hacer un comentario público, de favor les pedimos que hable despacio, con claridad, y deténgase después de cada pocas oraciones para interpretarle de la manera más completa posible. Gracias. Ahora les indicaré cómo acceder a la reunión en español. Desde su teléfono llame al 602-666-0783. Introduzca el número de junta 2482-909-8955, seguido por el símbolo de número. Nuevamente, introduzca el símbolo de número cuando se le solicite el número de identificación o ID de asistente. Gracias.
Thank you, Oscar. We'll next show the budget video highlighting what is in the fiscal year 22-23 proposed budget. Immediately following the video, we will move to speaker comments. Please cue the video.
The City of Phoenix trial budget for fiscal year 2022-2023, proposed by the Phoenix City Manager, is ready for public review and comment. A trial budget is a rough draft of the actual budget, estimating how much money and how it will be used for the next fiscal year. How does Phoenix's annual budget work? The city budget is made up of three parts: the general fund, enterprise funds, and special revenue funds. The general fund is made up of general sales tax, property taxes, revenue distributed by the state from income tax, sales and vehicle taxes, and some fines and fees. The general fund supports many of the services our residents, visitors, and businesses have come to expect in Phoenix libraries, parks, senior and youth programs, and police and fire services. Enterprise funds come from departments that only charge the people who use their services directly, like water and sewer, airlines and passengers at Sky Harbor, and trash and recycling customers. Finally, special revenue funds, earmarked for specific purposes from grants and voter-approved sales taxes dedicated for parks and preserves, transportation, and public safety. That's how Phoenix gets its money. Now, how do we spend it? Phoenix has a long history of public budgeting, giving the community a voice in the future of our city by starting the public involvement much earlier than required. Each year, departments look at what it will take to provide services for the upcoming year, and staff forecast what resources will be available to pay for services. The city manager proposes a trial budget that identifies programs and services that build a better, more inclusive city for all. And we'll keep the budget balanced. Then we ask for your input at community budget hearings, or by using the Fund Phoenix Interactive Budget Tool, or by contacting the city directly to ensure the budget reflects the priorities of our residents and City Council. After receiving your input, the City Council will vote on the budget in May and legally adopt the budget in June each year. The law requires the city's budget to be balanced each year. And this year, we are happy to report a projected budget surplus of $76 million. This is thanks to Phoenix's continued strong economy and sound fiscal leadership from the mayor and city council. For fiscal year 2022-23, the proposed general fund trial budget includes $21 million to address important needs raised by the council and community, and $55 million in set-asides that could be used for employee compensation, city council priorities next year or in future years, or if needed, provide for budget flexibility. The $21 million in supplementals for next fiscal year is proposed for city council and community priority areas, including Focus Area 1, Affordable Housing. $1.5 million is proposed for affordable housing to continue necessary support to low-income residents, such as homelessness prevention and funding for Phoenix Starfish Place, which is dedicated to healing and empowering human trafficking survivors. Focus Area 2, Climate and Sustainability. A proposed $1.3 million to create positions dedicated to climate and sustainability initiatives to achieve the goals of the council-approved Climate Action Plan, and to continue funding for the city's award-winning Cool Pavement Program to further help mitigate heat in the city. The funds would also create a position within the city focused on studying the benefits of electric vehicle infrastructure, along with a dedicated Climate Action Plan manager to work toward achieving the goals of the council-approved Climate Action Plan. Focus Area 3, Economic Development, Planning, and Innovation. $1.6 million is proposed to keep Phoenix competitive in the global market. Proposed additions include positions for the Community and Economic Development Department to formalize an international trade program to remain competitive with global markets, enhance marketing opportunities to increase jobs, and resources to target vacant storefronts to create new retail centers. Staffing will also be added to help achieve City Council priority projects, such as transit-oriented development and the Housing Phoenix Plan. Focus Area 4, Historic Preservation and Arts. The city's art collection is in need of refurbishment, and historic buildings need to be protected, which is why the city is proposing $200,000 to invest in historic preservation grants and to provide increased funding for the Office of Arts and Culture, including arts grants to enhance programming to youth and artists in the community. Focus Area 5, Homelessness, Immigrant, Refugee Support, and Fast-Track Cities. $3 million and 17 new positions are proposed to assist the city's growing homeless, immigrant, and refugee populations. The proposed money would help achieve the goals of the council-approved Strategies to Address Homelessness Plan and expand the CARES program that connects individuals to needed services, and a new navigator dedicated to helping immigrants and refugees transitioning into the community, and ongoing funding of $250,000 for the Fast Track Cities initiative. Focus Area 6, Parks and Recreation and Library. To enhance community services, $2.7 million is proposed to the Parks and Recreation Department and the Library Department for enhanced after-school programming at Phoenix after-school centers. Money would also launch a new bookmobile to provide library programming in the Southwest Valley. Focus Area 7, Public Safety and Criminal Justice. $6.3 million is proposed to add more fire sworn personnel to meet minimum staffing requirements. The 19th Avenue Corridor Community Safety and Crime Prevention Plan, and case management support for municipal court to help victims of domestic violence, and new attorney positions for Public Defender's Office for the Veterans and Mental Health Specialty Courts. The proposal also includes using the Phoenix Police Department's existing operating budget to increase the number of civilian positions, allowing sworn personnel to return to the field to respond to calls for service. Focus Area 8, roadway safety. Pedestrian and roadway safety is crucial for city streets. $600,000 is proposed to increase annual resources for the City Council-approved Roadway Safety Action Plan. The proposed fiscal year 2022-23 trial budget also includes new positions and needed resources for city enterprise and special revenue funds due to growth and increased demand for services, including additions for aviation, development services, solid waste, transit, and water services. This has been just a taste of what you will find in the 2022-23 City of Phoenix proposed trial budget. More information on the proposed budget is available at our website, Phoenix.gov/budget. We encourage you to use our Fun Phoenix interactive tool to provide input, an interactive budget tool that lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed fiscal year 2022-23 trial budget additions. We hope that you'll review additional details in the Budget Tabloid, available online at Phoenix.gov/budget. Please share your feedback in whatever way works best for you, at one of the virtual community budget hearings, or by email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment on the city's social media pages at CityofPhoenixAZ on Facebook or Twitter, and use hashtag PHXBudget, or call us at 602-262-4800. The city manager will present his proposed budget for 2022-23 to the Phoenix City Council on May 3rd, 2022. The council's budget decision will take place on May 17th, 2022. Thank you for being part of this important process. We look forward to hearing your ideas for this year's trial budget and the future of Phoenix.
Before we begin comments, I want to turn it over to Councilman Garcia, who's in attendance today. Councilman?
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, staff, for putting this together. Thank you all who have joined us. I said in the past, our budget is our values document, so really excited to hear from the community of their needs and their reaction to the wonderful work that staff has done. So thank you all so much for participating, and like always, reminding folks to fill out the Fun Phoenix tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Cooper?
We will now read the hearing conduct statement and then start calling names of the speakers. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on the proposed budget. The city code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose an opportunity to continue to speak. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to the pending claims or litigation. I will now start with the speaker list. Our first speaker is Carrie McNish, followed by Annie Eldon. Carrie, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Thank you, honorable council members and mayor. Good morning. My name is Carrie McNish. I'm speaking on behalf of Pickleball at Desert Foothills Park, a community group of currently over 800 people that would like to see at least 8 dedicated pickleball courts and a new parking lot added to our community park. As an interim solution, we're asking for resurfacing, relining of the 2 current tennis courts to make them dual purpose. These courts are currently underutilized and poorly maintained. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. It has grown 40% in the last 2 years, and in Arizona specifically, pickleball league play has grown over 175%, surpassing tennis league play. Pecos Park is the only city park in Ahwatukee with pickleball courts. This is a great park. However, we estimate that 40 to 60% of the people playing do not reside in Ahwatukee. This means with even 16 courts, you can very often face full courts and long waits. According to the professional pickleball associations, this trend will continue and the problem will only get worse. In fact, Tempe, Gilbert, Chandler are all making new pickleball courts a priority, and we are hoping that Phoenix should too. Desert Foothills Park has never been finished in the past 25 years. It has a large gravel area that's currently used for illegal dumping and at times criminal activity. It is bordered by a major road and sports fields and very few homes, which makes it an ideal place for the courts to be added. And as with other parks, increased activity due to pickleball can not only help better the area, but reduce crime, and also help with the Going Green efforts for the state, because you can walk and bike to your local park. Pickleball is a safe, outdoor, multi-generational recreational activity with a low learning curve, both physical and mental health benefits. Many people, including my family, began playing pickleball during the COVID shutdowns as a way to work out and provide a much-needed social outlet. Ahwatukee continues to grow with more new home developments, mostly in our foothills area, and we have one of the largest tax revenue bases in the city. We're just asking the city to consider allocating funds for this project, which we estimate to be around $1.5 million. We respectfully ask that you look at impact fees, ARPA money, annual park maintenance budgets to complete the new courts and resurfacing of the existing courts. We have sent our full presentation to each of the...
Our next speaker is Annie Eldon, followed by Jeremy Thacker. Annie, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Great. Okay. Esteemed council members and mayor, thank you for holding this meeting to hear the desires of the citizens of our great city of Phoenix and how we would like our tax dollars to be spent. My name is Annie Eldon, and I am a resident of District 4 and a board member for Phoenix Spokespeople, a bicycle nonprofit in Phoenix. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of Phoenix Spokespeople to urge you to allocate $9 million to Vision Zero. This is the idea to have zero deaths on roads, which seems like a good idea to me and hopefully many. This is only $5 per resident and will save countless lives and thousands of dollars spent from crashes with cars. Personally, I've been hit by a car while biking home from work. Luckily, the car was going slow enough that I was not hurt and there were no damages. However, if that car had been going even just 5 miles per hour faster, I might not be here. The thought is terrifying. Therefore, on a personal note, and as a Phoenix Spokespeople board member, I urge you to allocate $9 million to Vision Zero to ensure that I and many others will see another day. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jeremy Thacker, followed by Robert Cannon. Jeremy, are you on the line?
I am.
Please proceed.
I'd like to say I support the previous two speakers, and the pickleball growth is amazing, and more resources should be allocated to that to support the growth, as well as Vision Zero. I have a question on the page 272 of the inventory of programs this year. For golf, it shows that administrative fees are going to be $419,000. In previous years, they've been $15,000, and prior to that, it was $0 for administrative fees. I'd like to understand if the city believes that that is an arbitrary number that it can just use as it sees fit to manipulate the budget numbers. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Robert Cannon, followed by Morgan Saylor. Robert, are you on the line?
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Robert Cannon, president of the Willow Neighborhood Association. I'm speaking today in official capacity. This is the 5th year in a row we've been asking for the continuation and funding of our 3rd and 5th Avenue project throughout the Willow Neighborhood Historic District. We've been real excited to know that we are now at the 100%, near 100% completion of this project in terms of the programming this summer. Now we're asking for the construction funding so that we can complete the project. We certainly thank the city's work, Kenny, Brianna, and Chris for our work so far. We really want to get this project across the home plate, so we respectfully and appreciate funding for this project to be completed, to preserve the neighborhood, to balance the city, to protect the citizens, and continue to make Willow one of the best neighborhoods in the city as well as the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Morgan Saylor, followed by Ann Bommersbach. Morgan, are you on the line? Morgan is not on the line. Our next speaker is Ann Bommersbach, followed by Nicole Rodriguez. Anne, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Oh, great. Yes, I echo Bob Cannon's comments. I would love to see this project done soon. I appreciate the fact that the city has, worked on the design phase of it for a bit now. And I would hate to see that go to waste, our taxpayer dollars. So I do feel like we just really need to complete this thing. My main concern is the traffic cut through. And I am on Windsor, right off of 7th Avenue, and I see so much of that and speeding. I've had situations where I've tried to just exit my driveway and get onto Windsor, and people are speeding so quickly they will honk at me, beep, and pass me on the residential street going, I don't know how fast they're going, much faster than they should. We have, I think now, 8 or 9, maybe 10 children on Windsor, just my block, under the age of 10, I would say. So the demographic has changed a lot in Willow, and for safety in particular for these young children, it's really not a good idea to have them out there because we have so much of that cut through. In addition to that, the wrong way drivers I encounter, too many to mention, really. So for those reasons, I appreciate that the city has worked on the design phase. That's wonderful. And I just hope that we can get this finished. It'll be a great addition to our neighborhood, and it will keep it more like a neighborhood going forward. So I appreciate your consideration of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nicole Rodriguez, followed by Stephanie Espinosa. Nicole, are you on the line? Nicole is not on the line. Our next speaker is Stephanie Espinosa, followed by Opal Wagner. Stephanie, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. So COVID has had a significant impact in our mental health and BIPOC, immigrant, queer, and trans and unsheltered communities. My name is Stephanie. I'm here on behalf of Poder in Action as the campaign manager and of the 65,000 people we reached through wellness calls in 2021 in the middle of a pandemic. And this has led to COVID has led to an increased levels of depression, suicidal thoughts, drug use, and isolation. The traumatic impacts of COVID have been addressed now because they will shape the health of and well-being of our communities for years to come. But Phoenix is about to get a second round of $198 million in COVID relief funding, but council isn't currently planning to invest any of the money into mental health and harm reduction services and resources. And they're justifying this by saying they've already gave $9 million to mental health and homeless services from the first allocation of $198 million. Not only this is not enough to meet the immense needs of our communities, but it is not going to the services that have histories of involving police and mental health crisis and have been unable to reach the communities most impacted by COVID-19. Because of this, we're fighting for a $10 million investment in a community-driven public health and safety committee that will research, develop, and implement strategies for increasing the long-term mental and physical wellness of communities the city has abandoned for decades, and strategies that do not involve police incarceration or involuntary confinement. Police, prisons, and involuntary confinement have failed as solutions for public safety. We need new, creative, police-free ways of making our neighborhoods safer and healthier. No more Band-Aid solutions. It's time for council to invest in resources that address root causes of poverty, to equip our people with the resources they need to live happy, healthy, and stable lives. Safety is free child care programs for youth, living wages, affordable housing, and having the health care that we need. So that's what we're here for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Opal Wagner, followed by James Valera. Opal, are you on the line?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Barton and Mayor and council members. And I serve on the Willow Neighborhood Association board, and I'm chairperson of the Streets Traffic Safety Committee. So I'm here this morning as well to advocate for construction funding for the street improvements to 3rd and 5th Avenue from McDowell to Thomas Road. The Willow neighborhood is a great little community at the outskirts of downtown. However, 3rd and 5th Avenue, which are designated as local streets, are no longer being used as local streets. They're being used as commuter little mini highways for commuters trying to avoid traffic on 7th Avenue and Central Avenue. That is a real, puts our neighborhood at risk for safety issues. We had the streets improvement completed south of us in Roosevelt, and we're asking for construction funding so that the wonderful design that the streets transportation department has come up with under Keeney Knudsen's leadership to be funded, because the design, otherwise, if we don't have construction funding, the design is just going to be put on the shelf. So urge you to follow through with completion for that project through our neighborhood. And main concern is safety with speeding, and anything we can do to lower the speed of these drivers in our neighborhood is going to contribute to our livability and our safety. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to comment on the budget.
Thank you. Next, we have James, followed by Elizabeth Venable. James, are you on the line?
Yeah, I am. Good morning, Mayor Gago and council members. I also support the project on 3rd and 5th Avenue. I live on 5th Avenue at the corner of Elmeria and 5th Avenue, to be exact. And we experience a combination of safety concerns on a daily basis. I see how the 2 lanes entering off McDowell traveling north on 5th Avenue invite wrong way drivers to enter and continue, ignoring all the signage that has been placed up until they somehow realize that it's a one-way. We also experience the morning commuters traveling south to downtown using our neighborhood as a cut-through, especially at the last street, which is mine, Almeria. And they blaze through the stop sign and enter onto 5th Avenue, which is supposed to be a 25-mile residential street, but people usually exceed that speed limit. I have a speed bump in front of my house, which they typically use as a ramp, trying to make the green light, and they always miss it, inevitably run the red light. And I believe that by allocating these funds for the 3rd and 5th Avenue project, you'll make our neighborhood much safer with the 1-lane proposal. And the evidence does lie in the Roosevelt neighborhood on the 3rd and 5th Avenues that was just completed. So, thank the council.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth, followed by Frank Urban. Elizabeth, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry for the additional noise. What I wanted to say is that the city needs to devote resources from the general fund to housing. The city has not been very good about giving its own dollars to housing, or especially to housing for reentry or any other special population that's not SMI or elderly or veterans. And I think that it's important not just to go with federal dollars, because it's not meeting the need. We have an increase of over 5,000 people on the streets, and it's a 36% increase from before. It was about 3,000 and something before, and for the unsheltered. And so the city's not meeting the need. The federal money is not meeting the need. And so we really need some bold action to try to alleviate these problems, because otherwise the city's going to pay for it in other ways. The city's going to pay for it in emergency services, fire, and policing. So, and those are more expensive than housing. So I would encourage the city to invest money from the general fund, and not just excess money, but money, significant amounts of money from the general fund into housing, reentry programs, and possibly water, which needs to be more as well. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank, followed by Faith Kearns. Frank, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed.
I would like to address, like Elizabeth Venable. I agree with Elizabeth Venable that we should, that the city should allocate out of the general fund for housing the homeless and SMI and all that. And also, I would also like to address, as the police, when they get involved, they usually put the homeless down or try to bully them to move and such. So they need to be held to a certain level of accountability and compassion. And also they need training, because the homeless is not just a white population. It's all different types of cultures. So they need training in cultural diversity and communication with the homeless. And if they can get more compassionate training, learning how to deal with SMI, learning how to deal with the mentally unstable, and open a dialogue, actually get to know these people. They're not all drug dealers, murderers, and thieves. I mean, I was homeless myself, and I got cited just for standing on the sidewalk up in Sunny Slope by 10th Avenue and Hatcher. And I just think, like I said, that it should be this money should be paid out of the general fund and not just the federal. Because if it's paid out of the federal, nothing's going to be done about it. Paid out of the general fund, there's actually going to be change made.
Thank you. Next, we have Faith, followed by Jamie Cowgill. Faith, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed.
My name is Faith Kearns. I am with Funds for Empowerment. I fully agree as far as the housing goes. We definitely need more of that and more money funded in the general fund. We also need to look at the fact that CAS does not accept or have room for people that are handicapped. And they don't accept them if they're in a wheelchair. We need to find some housing for them, among many others. Your consideration would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jamie, followed by Drew Brick. Jamie, are you on the line?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. I appreciate all the work that you've done on the budget. And living in Phoenix, I used to live in Scottsdale, and I am so pleased that I am now a Willow resident. So I'm here to thank you and ask for your support in the funding of the 3rd Avenue and 5th Avenue street improvements. I think the design will, excuse me, help to create a much safer place for pedestrians, bicyclists, and residents, and even drivers. Just the other day, I was walking my dog and coming down 3rd Avenue, headed or up, I guess, and it hit, it was rush hour. And the wonderful design that you did between Van Buren and Roosevelt on 3rd is very effective for traffic control. And but as they leave as they cross McDowell, it becomes a drag race. And the other night there was a woman texting, and she was actually driving in the bike lane and the parking area where most of our residents walk their dogs, walk their kids in strollers, stand around and chat, because that is a pedestrian space and a bicycle space. So I want to make sure that you support, and the city will fund this very important project. I'd hate to see the design go to waste, because I think it will be very effective and help create a much safer neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Drew, followed by Annie Muelich. Drew, are you on the line?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Barton, Council and Pastor, rest of Mayor and Council. My property is on the southeast corner of 7th Street in Windsor and Coronado in District 4. I have a very specific problem that I'm requesting the city manager look into. Mine and my neighbor's properties flood when it rains. So not just some ponding in the street or the front yard, like I actually have to get sandbags out and barricade the front door. There's a river running through the front yard, and it's not unusual for half an inch of water to enter the living room. The street, Windsor Avenue, easily pushes water over the curb in minor storms. In 2017, I met Mr. Paniagua at my property. He acknowledged that this flooding was a problem, that the floodplain group has a list and a plan to fix the area. I have a copy of that list that I was sent back then. Fast forward today, almost 5 years of waiting. Rather than being closer to a solution, we seem to be going backwards. In December of last year, council was asked to approve 13 million of ARPA money for flooding. Many of those, actually all those sites that were approved were not on the 2017 list. Even $1.2 million of federal money is being used to fix a City of Phoenix parking lot on Lower Buckeye Road. So as far as I can tell, the old plan has been abandoned or lost, and that was confirmed by the floodplain department. Additionally, we seem to not be applying for generous county match dollars. County provides a 3-to-1 match of up to $500,000 if we apply, but the only application that we've submitted in the past 5 years is when APS asked for it to happen. So there seems to be 2 sets of rules depending on who's asking. So generally I support funding for drainage projects, and there likely needs to be more funding, but I'm at a loss at how the current money is being spent and the lack of any plan or strategy that uses tax dollars wisely or effectively to prevent water from entering people's homes. In a modern city with a $76 million surplus, the fact that residents have to live in fear of a weather forecast that calls for rain is disheartening. And I'll follow up with pictures and videos in an email. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Annie, followed by Aaron Searles. Annie, are you on the line?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, council members and mayor, for your time today. My name is Ann Muich, and I am a Phoenix resident living in the neighborhood of Willow. I am here to speak and advocate for construction funding for the 3rd and 5th Avenue improvement project between Muhammad Ali Way and McDowell to the south, which affects the Willow neighborhood. I've lived in Willow for 24 years, and I walk in our neighborhood every day, twice a day. And over the past 24 years, I have seen an extreme increase in speeding, cut-through traffic, and a much higher rate of wrong-way drivers due to the signage in the area, as the development in the Central Commercial Corridor has grown so much over the past 24 years. I've narrowly avoided being hit by vehicles numerous times, usually by cut-through traffic coming through Encanto in through the roundabout on 5th Avenue, and also by speeding drivers. They're going way, way above the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is for our neighborhood streets. The cut-through traffic has increased, the wrong-way driving has increased, the speeding has increased. As Willow is a residential neighborhood, it's imperative that we fund the budget to reduce the excessive traffic that is entering our neighborhood. We need to reduce the speeding, the wrong-way drivers, as well as keep cyclists and pedestrians safe, especially in areas of our neighborhood which do not have sidewalks. So we are in the street. I live on Virginia, and we have no sidewalk on Virginia and 5th. The Phoenix City Council has made a commitment to preserve the Willow neighborhood with the Willow Conservation Plan, which was passed in '86. And now it's time to fund the budget to implement the work on 3rd and 5th Avenue for the long-awaited improvements. The 90% design, which I have commented on throughout the process, is exciting, and now we need to put it into reality. Thank you so much for your time and for having us speak today.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Aaron, followed by Daniel Davis. Aaron, are you on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Gallego, Councilwoman Pastor, Councilman Garcia, and the rest of council for joining us on this Saturday. I'm here to advocate as well for the 5th and 3rd Avenue street improvements. As you've heard by many of our other neighbors, and also as a Willow neighborhood board member, I've spoken with hundreds of our neighbors, and this is a very big concern, and everyone pretty much has the same concern, which is safety. And it really is becoming, it is basically like another 7th Avenue. It's just traffic is always coming in there at 30, 40 miles plus. I live on Edgemont, the north side towards Thomas, and people are constantly speeding, trying to hit that green light. As an avid runner, I run down 3rd and 5th Avenue on a regular basis, and I've actually started running against traffic because it's become too dangerous for me not to see what's coming. Just really appreciate the council and mayor's support on this, and thank you for my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Daniel, followed by Andrew Raub. Daniel, are you on the line? Daniel, are you on the line?
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Please
Okay.
proceed.
I'm calling in about Vision Zero. So I'm a primary care doctor in the Valley, and a lot of my patients suffer the consequences of our insane traffic problem in Phoenix. And I want to tell you a little story about a patient who I'm going to call Jane Doe, who came to see me. She was a young mother, and I just saw she was coming in for depression. When I came in to see her, she tells me a story about how months ago she witnessed the death of her husband in a motor vehicle collision. And since then, she was experiencing all the disabling symptoms of PTSD, tormented by nightmares and flashbacks of witnessing the death of her husband in traffic on our roads. She was unable to care for her children, became dependent on her elderly mother for her childcare. She subsequently has had multiple psychiatric hospitalizations and suffered financial disaster due to her husband's death. Now, I was curious, so I looked up the site of this collision, and it's one of these oversized stroads in North Phoenix, which we all know, and people routinely speed on because it's designed to be sped on. Several years ago, the City Council voted down Vision Zero. They voted against making safety a priority on a road. The city let me down. They let my family down. They let Jane Doe down. They let my patients down. They let all of us down. It's time to remedy this situation. Fully fund Vision Zero. Prioritize human lives over car speeds. And there's a tremendous amount of people who've called in about traffic safety. All else I want to say is read Confessions of a Recovering Engineer. It's a great book that will tell you how to make our streets safer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Andrew, followed by Martha Avendado. Andrew, are you on the line?
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Hi, my name's Andrew Robb. I'm a board member for the Garfield organization in the Garfield neighborhood and a volunteer with Feed Phoenix, a group that battles housing and food inequity throughout the valley. Over the past year, there's been a record number of unsheltered people, unsheltered deaths, and overdose deaths on the streets of Phoenix, exacerbated by the pandemic. Current plans for emergency shelters barely support the number of people that are living on this street. The city needs at least 3,000 shelter beds to cover the needs of the unsheltered community. We ask for $10 million increase in money spent on housing with wraparound services for unsheltered people with drug abuse problems. Another $10 million for housing with wraparound services for people suffering from mental illness. We would love to see money spent on city training for people like park workers, street and neighborhood service department workers, and supplies for harm reduction, intervention, and hygiene products. We want to see money spent on easy access, low barrier emergency shelters, especially in the summertime when people need to get off the street. And we would love to see free public transportation to enable mobility and access to services to people throughout the valley. The city has provided us with bus passes over the past few months, and there are not enough for me to give out on a weekly basis. People just need free public transportation. The money that we're asking for comes to the total of the money that was increased into the police budget last year, and we want to see non-police solutions to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Martha is our final speaker. Martha, are you on the line?
Ok. ¿Aló?
Hello.
Bueno, ¿sí me escuchan?
Sí.
Puede hablar, señora, adelante.
Hola, mi nombre es Marta, soy del Distrito 7 y en esta ocasión quiero hablar y pedir al concilio que nos apoyen en las demandas que nosotros tenemos para nuestra comunidad, ya que en nuestra comunidad nos hace falta, queremos apoyo en un centro de salud para nuestros jóvenes adictos que están en nuestras calles. Queremos una mejor vivienda para nuestras comunidades.
Señora, te voy a pedir que pauses.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Martha Avendano, and I'm asking the City Council to please support our community and our demands. We ask for our support in some centers of health for our young people, our young drug-addicted people. Continúe, señora.
Sí, queremos que sean nuestras viviendas accesibles para las personas que tenemos bajos recursos. Queremos que nos apoyen con eso. También queremos un incremento en el cuidado de niños de 14 a 24 años, ya que ellos necesitan mucha ayuda y necesitamos que nos ayuden con eso, que ustedes miren las necesidades de la comunidad y queremos un aumento en los recursos para padres y cuidadores de los niños también. Hoy en este día yo quiero hablar por mi comunidad, que realmente necesitamos un incremento para un centro de salud para uso de sustancias y que proporcionen una asistencia económica de proveedores de salud mental para gente de color que busca una capacitación y una educación de posgrado.
Pausa, señora, por favor. I am asking for increase in funds, and especially for low-income residents. Also, additional funds for our young adults, especially the ages between 14 to 24 years. They need a lot of assistance. Also, I'm requesting an increase in funds for caregivers that take care of their elderly parents. I'm also requesting that a health center for our substance abuse young adults, and also support for our community. Continúe, señora.
Pido que se instalen y que se mantengan contenedores seguros para desechar jeringas en lugares públicos, ya que en nuestros parques, cuando uno sale al parque a caminar, siempre miramos por donde quiera esas jeringas tiradas. Nuestros niños no están seguros en los parques.
Also, I'm requesting they install some safe containers, lockable containers for used syringes. When we take walks to the park, we see these thrown syringes, and it's not safe for our children.
Queremos un incremento de los 10 millones para un comité de seguridad y salud pública dirigido por la comunidad para explorar soluciones de crisis de salud mental y uso de sustancias.
Also, we would like an increase of those 10 million used for a safe community, especially for the creation of a committee that is publicly overseen. Also, that way would help the mental health in our community. Continúe,
Es
señora.
todo lo que tengo que decir. Gracias.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
So that concludes all of our formal speaker requests, but I'll ask Councilman Garcia and Councilwoman Pastor if they'd like to have any closing remarks before we close today's hearing.
Thank you all so much for joining us on a Saturday morning. Just some comments, I think, with Stephanie and Marta in particular. I think we'll continue. I agree with the ask that you all are making. We're moving forward with a public health consultant and hopefully a public health commission that I think some of those concerns would be there. But I do agree we must push to continue to support people in mental health. So thank you for those contributions. To Elizabeth, Frank, Faith, and Andrew, we're in the process of hopefully opening up another shelter. We have a community meeting this Monday from 4 to 6. We'll go ahead and add you all and make sure that invitation gets to you so you can join us and see some of the advances that are happening there. I think for the folks concerned with traffic, we agree with you. Yes, Vision Zero was not passed in the past, 4 years ago, but this council has now approved our roadway safety plan, and so I think it's a matter of, like every other plan, continuing to work with you all and the rest of the community to make sure that we find solutions and invest in them. So thank you all again for contributing today, and please, again, a reminder to do the Fund Phoenix tool so you can see where our funds have gone, and we can also capture where you would like the future funds to go. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Pastor.
Thank you for participating in the budget today hearing. As we move forward in many different types of budget hearings, I hear all the concerns. A lot of these concerns we are actively working on and making sure that money is set in those categories. As Councilman Garcia has stated, housing, homelessness, traffic, even parks and recs, all different areas we are concentrating on and trying to fulfill the needs of our community. And so I want to thank you. As I was taught, we give a voice to those areas and projects, and we're able to, as a council, be able to look at it and methodically be able to give funding. It may not be the complete funding, but if you don't ask, you don't receive. And so thank you for doing that.
So again, that concludes our hearing today. Thank you all for attending, and have a good day.
On Barcoa, which is an adaptive reuse project, along with the art studio. Some challenging aspects of this project was we had two different design professionals, two different businesses moving at their own speed, so trying to coordinate them together and getting their approvals, their inspections, and all their permits was a bit challenging, but we brought it all together.
What we're doing with Chico, true collaboration. We're sharing a space